I am not a politician. I don't go on television shows. I don't appear on Jay Leno. I'm not allowed on Fox News. I'm not invited to Friends of Abe. I'm not a member of any of these front groups. I'm not a member of any group. I don't want to be a member of any group that would have me as a member. How's that? I'll do a Groucho Marx on you. I don't need them. They need me. I don't care whether I'm on a website or not on a website. It means nothing to me. Most of these people are in it only for the buck. And they tell you that they're on your side. They're full of it. They're in it for the buck. Even Glenn Beck, the hemorrhoid with eyes. Did you hear what he said yesterday, your hero? Glenn Beck, the Marjo of our time. He's sorry for dividing the nation. Can you believe that you'd wake up to see this? Yes. He's O'Reilly. Well, let me just, it's a family show. I can't say it. He's a hemorrhoid with eyes. One of the greatest con men in the history of the conservative movement, Glenn Beck. I run every show as though it's my last. I speak every day as though it's my last show because it could be. I don't know. What do I know? What's coming tomorrow? I know the noose is tightening on all of us. When I see that the living hemorrhoid, who is probably one of the most deceitful people in the history of the media, Glenn Beck, this guy Marjo, if you ever saw the movie Marjo, you know what I'm talking about. There was actually a better movie about him done years ago with Andy Griffith about a preacher, a fake preacher who wins crowds over with his great, rhetorical skills. Now all of a sudden we wake up and you say, wait a minute, Glenn Beck saying I'm sorry for dividing the nation? How'd that happen? Why did he do that? It's simple. His company is in New York City. New York City's been taken over by a Sandinista. So he's afraid that the Sandinista head of New York City is liable to squeeze him a little bit on something with, more taxes, this and that. God knows what. That's my estimation. How else do you explain it? How else do you explain that Marjo would say a thing like this? I make no apologies for fighting the divisiveness in America. And I make no apologies for having written books such as The Enemy Within, Trickle-Up Poverty, Trickle-Down Tyranny, A Time for War. I make no apologies for trying to warn you about what was going on. I didn't win. I had no effect. I will tell you that. I'm sad that after all these years of working to try to stop this tide of left-wing fanaticism, that the opposite has occurred. I'm sad. I apologize to you for that. But I did the best that one man could do. I couldn't do any more. I tried to warn you. But because you believe those who ridiculed me, because you believe those who ostracized me, but because you believe those who said things about me that were untrue, I had no effect whatsoever. Had you understood that I was the Paul Revere of my time, going back to 94, long before old Rushbo, El Rushbo, created the hat with the T, whatever he's doing now, the children's book. Next, it'll be a pair of sandals, the conservative sandals, and walking in the footsteps of Jesus with his footprint in it. I don't know what's coming tomorrow. He could put out a Rushbo sandal that matches Jesus' footprints in the sands of time. That's not a bad idea. Many of you will buy it, and you'll buy that too. The sandals, the Jesus sandals, are coming next from Rush, because men like him, who were a member of the cabal that excluded Michael Savage, my message was limited to a certain small number of people, which may have been 8 to 10 million on radio. I don't know what it was. It could have been much bigger. At the peak of my show, when I was at the peak, I will probably have a much higher audience in a year on radio if I'm still on the radio, because I'm on much better stations in drive time on the East Coast. But at the peak, in the other time slot, I was at 8 to 10 reportedly, so it could have been 20 million because of those you couldn't report, like internet users today. Who knows how many listeners are. But apparently it didn't have the impact I hoped it would have. So I apologize to you, not for dividing the nation, but trying to save the nation of failing. I did the most I could. And when I speak to people, I say, basically I've done all I can. I can't do anymore. I've got 1 or 2 more books left in me. I told you what I'm working on. It's not even available, so don't accuse me of self-serving here. Mark it down in your head. I told my publisher to put it up on Amazon. They're not doing it. It's too far ahead. It's called The Coming Civil War. Basically, how to stop it with the savage truth. My last nonfiction book of a political nature. I will not write any more. I'm not swearing that, but I'm not going to. That will be my last. That's my swan song. That's the last chance we have, is just before the election.